So we went to a local Comic Con and got some comics. So we're going to talk a bit about that today. There's a thing called Nomadcon, which is a spiritual successor to a yard sale of comic books.
Is it?
Well, yeah, they used to sell like these guys would gather at somebody's home and just sell in the front yard like boxes of
Oh.
comics, which we've been to
And
before.
do they call it the same thing?
No, no. I think the reason they called this Nomadcon was because they're traveling away from home to it. I don't know. I guess. But the new location for it was an American Legion outpost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of neat. It's a
Is
fun
it
little.
Outpost or just Post?
Oh, that might be
I
right.
think it's just American Legion Post.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's very much a in.
And okay. But it was a nice little space for it. It was a little crowded going through the aisles. There was only
Yeah,
so much space.
there were a lot more people there than I thought, and there was even like a back room that we would have missed.
If you weren't
And
paying attention to detail.
right, you were in the thick of it, looking straight into the boxes, and I was looking around the room.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is mostly an opportunity to buy old comic books, which you can see I did. This is just my haul displayed out here of what I picked up, a variety of fun things. Um, but there were other people there too, besides
Yeah.
just people selling comics,
Yeah,
such
they
as,
were definitely trying to make it more like a actual con experience. And what I really appreciate about that is, you go to a lot of these conventions and there's just so much there. There's so much noise of things that we're not interested in.
and people dressed up in anime outfits.
And that's fine,
That's okay.
Um but so this one they did try to bring in a little bit of that. There was a person there that was repping a couple comic books, the writer and artist.
Hmm.
Then there was Peppermint Patty's voice
Yeah, voiceover actress.
from the 80s.
Yeah, which I guess, they had been doing Peanut specials since, I don't know, the 60s.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know how prevalent Peppermint Patty was in all these specials. I mean, I've certainly seen like Halloween and Christmas and Thanksgiving and Snoopy Come Home and all these,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I had seen because she said she was the voice actress from like 83 to 85.
Yeah,
I don't know if I had seen any of those Peanuts
and also
cartoons.
the Punky Brewster cartoon.
Yeah, which I there you go, real deep cut.
Yeah.
There's a reference not a lot of people are gonna get.
Really?
Punky Brewster?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess yeah. But let us know in the comments if you know who
Yeah.
Punky Brewster
I
is.
feel like anybody who grew up in the 80s knew who Punky Brewster was.
Yeah.
Might not have known that there was an animated series for Punky Brewster, but I feel like that show was pretty popular and like a lot of kids were into it. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe that was just where I grew up.
All right, so this is again. I just been showing on camera all the different titles I picked up. This was these two, Rune and Conan versus Rune, are fun because it's by this artist Barry Windsor Smith. Uh, when I was looking through the box and I found this one, I didn't recognize it, and it just says special edition. I looked it up. This was actually polybagged with Spin magazine
Oh.
back in the '90s. So this would have had, I imagine, like a really high print run because there were a lot more people reading Spin than there were just reading most any comic book at the time.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know that they would have been that interested, most of the readers of Spin in this vampire comic book.
Yeah, who knows?
So I think a lot of them probably got thrown out.
So I'm curious, you've been to a lot of conventions, a lot of these kinds of things. What's your plan when you go to a place like this?
I just have a sense of a time period I like. Like if you're at all a comic book fan, you're seeing me flip through these, you realize that most everything here is from between the years like 1985 to 2005 at the latest.
Yeah, your nostalgia years.
Yeah, my nostalgia years. So the stuff that if I didn't buy it at the time, like when this Cadillacs and Dinosaurs came out, there was a cartoon, there was a video game.
And you begged your mom, didn't you?
No, no. I just wasn't that into it. It was just one of
Okay.
those, it's like there were so many things that tried to break through and become like the next big intellectual property for kids that, had a video game, had a cartoon, had action figures, and then just didn't quite make it.
And this is really interesting. Topps Comics So it's same as the baseball cards. They were like, let's try another collectible.
That's exactly right. So they started with Topps is famous for their Mars Attacks cards from the 1950s, and that was one of the first comic book series they did in the 90s. Was a comic book based on the old Mars Attacks trading cards, and then surprise, surprise, a couple years later, it got turned into a movie by Tim Burton.
Whoa.
So that was something that there was a moment in time where Mars Attacks was in the pop culture.
So how long has had Topps Comics lasted, or do they still put out comics?
I think Topps might be around, but they could have been acquired by one of the other companies.
Well,
Like,
they're definitely still around doing cards,
yeah,
like baseball cards, basketball cards.
but there's been some consolidation of trading card companies. I forget how it worked out, but they don't do comics at all, so it's all cards.
Okay.
But they'll do comics. They'll do like a Deadpool set of cards or things like that. Um, but yeah, so it's just a lot of stuff that either these are great. There's an Alan Moore story in this one that was judged one of the 100 greatest comics of all times by the Comics Journal back in the late 90s, early 2000s, called Pictopia. And it's the basic pitch here is that, it's like a city where all the cartoon characters live. So this predates Who Framed Roger Rabbit by a couple years. The movie, at least, the book Who Framed or Who Plugged Roger Rabbit may have come out.
Plugged.
Yeah, I think that was the original book title. But it was actually
Please, Eddie.
Yeah, you're almost there. It was plugged.
Plugged,
Who
Eddie.
plugged Roger. But anyway, it's just another example of Alan Moore's creativity that I wouldn't have been aware of at the time as a young child, but now I'm finally glad to get a copy.
Nice.
And then this I was looking through yesterday. This makes me happy and sad in equal parts. It makes me happy and sad for the same reason, which is just it's a couple kids from Florida putting out a comic of their original characters. And I don't want to be cruel, but these original characters are not very good.
They don't look very original either.
Well, clearly they're drawing inspiration from some other existing things, whether it's, this is sort of an underwater aqua girl type character.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great.
But it's just, the artist here went on to much bigger and better things in later years. But this is, I mean, even the Phasers, the full title for the miniseries was the Phase 1 Phasers, which is just corny on a whole other level, but it was the 80s.
And you said they were kids.
Well, I mean, young adults, kids.
No.
But they're doing it. They're out there. They're getting it done. So that's impressive.
I like that moth lady.
Oh, in the Phase 1 Phasers?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're being more positive about than I am, but I see it and I'm just like, it's a title that didn't ever really take off, but luckily the people working on it did get other comic book jobs that were like Freak Force. That
and
were
you were
more
willing
impressive.
to spend more on it than what they asked for originally.
Yeah, there's that. And then last one we'll look at here is who is it? Clive Barker. Clive Barker from Hellraiser? Did you ever see any of those movies?
Yes, I did.
Or did you ever read any Clive Barker books? Are you a horror fan?
I might have. I don't know if I've read his book, but
he did things like Nightbreed.
I don't know. I know I saw Hellraiser, and yeah, actually, before I met you, I would watch lots of horror movies.
But this is wild because this is Clive Barker doing Marvel Comics. So it's like, what if superheroes and Hellraiser were crossed? Well, this was what I would picture in my mind. It's pretty close.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. So again, like as a kid, we joke it's not that terrifying, but as a small child, like if I saw this on the newsstand, I'd be like, oh, too scary for me. So, but now it's like, it's a historical curiosity. I pick it up. And some of these are also interesting, like Ecto Kid is early work from the Wachowskis, who went on to write and direct the Matrix movie.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that they originally worked on, a couple of obscure Clive Barker Marvel comics. But yeah, that was the haul. What do you think? Do you have a good time at the convention? Is that your size, the right size for a convention?
Well, okay, the room, no. I think the room needed to be bigger for how much they had. Mm-hmm. But there was only one artist there. It would have been cool to see a lot more artists, but I know that they're just getting their feet wet doing the con. So, I mean, I was impressed. it wasn't what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
There was a lot more there.
Yeah.
Not a lot for me.
But thanks for going with me because there was a lot for me,
Yeah.
as you can see. If anyone's interested, if you want to see me do like a closer look at any of these books, there's it's really unwieldy to browse through all of them in this singular video. But if you want me to take a look at any of these in greater detail, just leave a comment below, smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel.
Anything goes.